Good morning, everyone, and have a blessed day, especially to our professor in AFD 503, Methods of Educational Research in Davao del Sur State College, Dr. Fernand F. Fagutao. Good morning, sir. I am Munet in Gisingan, and I am going to discuss to you the methods of data collection. So let's begin. What is data collection? Data collection is the process by which the researcher collects the information needed to answer the question or the research problem. The task of data collection begins after a research problem has been defined and research design chalked out. So that is data collection. So another meaning to that is that it means that it is the gathering and measuring of information. It is extremely important part of a research because the conclusions of a study are based on what the data reveal. The goal of this data collection is to capture quality evidence that then translate to reach the data analysis and allows the building of a convincing and credible answer to a certain question. So that is data collection. Let's go to the second page. So in collecting the data, the researcher must decide first which data to collect, second, how to collect the data, third, who will collect the data, and fourth is when to collect the data. The selection of a method for collecting information depends upon number one, the resources available, number two, credibility, number three, analysis and reporting, number four, resources, and number five, the skill of the evaluator. So when we say resources available, so example of that is the time, money, existing information, people, pictorial records and observations, books, research titles, research articles, journals, in the Google Scholar, and also the staff who are going to design, implement, and analyze the information. Okay, so that is what you call some examples of resources available. Okay, so let's go to credibility. So when do we say that that data gathered or collected is credible? So when we say credibility, it refers to the extent to which a data account is believable and appropriate, with particular reference to the level of agreement between the participants and also the researcher. So it is the important considerations in assessing the data. So according to what I've researched in academiaresearch.com, there are some sources so which we say that are credible. Examples are those materials published within last 10 years. Number two, research articles written by respected and well-known authors. Number three, websites registered by government and educational institutions. Number four, academic databases. And number five, those materials from the Google Scholar. So if those materials are coming from that sources, so they are credible. So there are some sources also that should be avoided. Okay, so number one, out of date materials. So when we say out of date materials, so those are materials published over 10 years. Number two, posts from social networks like Facebook. Number 3, blogs. Number 4, research article without citations. And number 5, websites ending in .com, .org, .net. And according also to academia.research.com, Wikipedia can never be considered as a reliable source of information since it can be edited by anyone. So therefore, Wikipedia is non-credible website example. However, it can be used when you are first trying to understand the topic. Okay, so let's go now to analysis and reporting. Okay, analysis consists of taking the data apart to determine individual responses and then putting it together by summarizing it and interpreting it, and after that, reporting in sections of a research report, usually titled results, findings, and discussions. And the last one also is the skill of the evaluator who will evaluate your data in your research. So we will discuss also the two types of data. So there are two types of data. First is the primary data, and the second one is the secondary data. What's the difference between primary data and secondary data? Primary data are those which are collected from the first time and are original in character, while secondary data are those which have already been collected by someone else and which have through some statistical analysis. So let us have more example of these two types of data. So another meaning of primary data is that this is the data gathered by researcher firsthand. The researcher collects such data on purpose because no previous records of the data exist to be assessed by public. And it could be through surveys, interviews, focus group discussion, and etc. So such data is considered to be highly reliable. There are some advantages and disadvantages of using this primary data. The advantages are the investigator collects data specific to the problem under study. There is no doubt about the quality or the data collected because you are the one who personally collect the data. And if required, it may be possible to obtain additional data during the study period. So some disadvantages of this are the investigator has to contend with all the hassles of data collection. So what are those hassles? So that is deciding why, what, how, when to collect the data, getting the data collected. It could be personally or through others, which might be the reason of losing some of the data, and getting funding and dealing with funding agencies. And also the ethical considerations in which you are going to ask for a consent or permission in conducting the data. Another also disadvantages of primary data is ensuring the data collected is of a high standard. All desired data is obtained accurately and in the format it is required in. There is no fake or cook up data, and there is unnecessary or useless data that has not been included. And the last one, and the most disadvantage of this primary data is the cost of obtaining the data is often the major expense in using this kind of data. So let's go to secondary data. So a while ago, I already told you that secondary data are those which have already been collected by someone else. So it means that the data being collected has already been published. Okay, it is the data from the previous studies and other sources. So sources of secondary data are books, records, biographies, newspapers, published censuses or other statistical data, internet articles, research articles by other researchers, and that is from journal or databases. And it can be less valid, but its important is still there. So let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of using this secondary data. Then, but the advantage there is or are no hassles of data collection. It is less expensive. The investigator is not personally responsible for the quality of the data. The disadvantages are the data collected by the third party may not be reliable party, so the reliability and accuracy of the data go down. Data collected in one location may not be suitable for the other one. And with the passage of time, the data becomes obsolete and very old. And secondary data also can raise issues of authenticity and copyright. So those are some advantages and disadvantages of primary data and secondary data. But in most research nowadays, these two types have been used in combination, and that is to give proper coverage of the topic. So in a research, we can combine the primary data and also the secondary data. And that's all for my report. And my co-reporter, Ma'am Florita Ibacalso, made another video for the continuation of this topic about how to collect data. Once again, I am Munette and Gisihan. Keep calm, stay safe amidst of the pandemic, COVID-19 that we are facing right now. Let's pray everyone. God bless us all. Thank you.